with your most recent term, what are some highlights that you want to share with the community?
That's a little tricky because I have been only thinking about this in a cumulative sort of way. And so to look at just what's been in the last 4 years, we did wrap up the thrust of getting to every part of the city on our fiber project. And I'm very pleased with the Idaho Falls fiber. We have managed to put the infrastructure in place, and we make that available to private sector entities that want to provide service, but they don't have to manage the hardware, right? We've created the highway and we invite people to drive on it. And this is good because the infrastructure is ours of the fiber optics, and we are able to maintain it well. And that's what cities do. They're very good, city utilities, at the infrastructure side, but we don't have to play on the commercial side where we're trying to attract customers. One of the things that we've been able to avoid, because the price points can be low enough, we've been able to avoid what other communities have not when they rely solely on the private sector, which is we don't have a digital divide where you have private sector companies coming in and they're putting in the infrastructure in the neighborhoods where they know they're going to sell a lot of service, and avoiding the lower income neighborhoods where they may not. And so you end up with parts of town that can be served well and parts of town that are hardly served at all. We've equalized all of that. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Plus it's very, very affordable. So that is something that has wrapped up in the last couple of years.
Right. Wonderful.
We launched in I think with a pilot in 2019, and then we went citywide in 2020, or maybe I'm off a little on the dates exactly, but it's around there. So it took us about 4 or 5 years to get to the whole city, but got it all.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment.
It's a good thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's all. I was just going to say it's a good thing.
Yeah.
What other things? I will say that since COVID, I know the last election was actually in 2021, but we have seen nothing but growth at the airport. It used to be that, we had quite a competition of for getting people to want to even fly out of Eastern Idaho at all, because the fares were, it made sense in many cases to spend the money and the time to drive to Salt Lake City, sometimes depending on where your destination was, to even spend the night in Salt Lake City to fly out there. But now we have enough competition, we have enough air service that it's not worthwhile for people, in most cases, for people to go to Boise or Salt Lake to get to their destination.
So you've done 3 terms. I want to know what you think about the people of Idaho Falls being drawn to you. Why do you think that you've been reelected so many times?
I think, I haven't ever really reflected on this. I'd like to think, I'll say it that way, that I have been able to demonstrate when I get in front of people and talk to them, sincerity and a willingness to apply an intelligent approach to things. I know that, excuse me, when you don't get a chance to get in front of people and you have to just rely on social media and you have to just rely on news reports, that doesn't do the trick. And so I think it's campaigning has to be done regardless of where you think you are in the polling. You still have to campaign like crazy to be able to get in front of people and to reacquaint themselves with you, even if you think you already have their vote. Right. Because you want people to know who you are and what you stand for. And so I never took any of the elections for granted. And maybe that has been helpful.
So what do you say drives your desire maybe to continue to serve the city of Idaho Falls?
This place is blessed with so much potential. The potential to grow is part of it, and I know that that can grow maybe a 4-letter word in more ways than one for some people. But we have the potential to improve. We have the potential to become an incredibly interesting place. And we also have parts of town that need to be rejuvenated and worked on, and they could be better than they are. In real estate, there is a concept. Well, maybe it's not so much in real estate, although that's partly. But I learned about it when I was working a long time ago at the Utah State Tax Commission. I was studying to become a land appraiser because I worked in the property tax division. And so appraisers look for not just, hey, how big is this parcel of land? What kind of improvements are on it? What's the value of the home or the business or whatever. They also look at this concept of highest and best use. Is this land being used at its highest and best use? Is it being underutilized? And I would say that there are parts of our city that are maybe underutilized, and they're not developed to their best, the best version of what that real estate could offer. And so there's always another hill to climb, always another part of town or another industry maybe to attract, or another when it comes to our federal programs like the laboratory and the cleanup project. Always another concern to be mindful of and watching out for when it comes to maybe congressional politics and congressional funding, making sure that those are kept at healthy and robust levels. Looking down the road, there's always concern to make sure that we have enough water resource, for example. And so what drives an interest to stay involved? The list of things to do. It's long and interesting.
That's a great answer. What would you say that you've done to continue to accommodate the growth that, I guess you said that there's potential to grow, but I know that there has been growth as well. What have you continued to do to accommodate that growth?
One of the things that we need to do right now is educate folks on how growth happens and how it's managed and paid for. I think that people have an unrealistic expectation that this growing community should somehow pay for infrastructure before it's warranted. They think that you should pay for the roads before the traffic materializes so that you're ready for it. And they say that if you don't, you're not ready. But in fact, that is not how roads are funded. And so because of that, people think that the city is woefully behind and poorly managed because of that. And so I think that there is, in addition to the, just staying on top of things that need to be done as new applications come in for, subdivisions and, all that work is getting done. There is, I think, a need on top of everything else to educate the public. But we also have found that post-COVID, or maybe during COVID as well as now the post-COVID period, we have experienced a lot of residential growth. And that resulted in a lot of different kinds of residential products being offered. Even before the pandemic began, we were seeing developers coming into town in late 2019 and very early, January of 2020, saying that this city was on the edge of getting ready to take off, and they wanted to start bringing their multifamily housing projects to our community, and that we didn't have, very much to offer in that respect. And so we were on the radar even before the pandemic created all of this interest in selling your expensive property on the coast and, moving to Idaho and buying, something really wonderful with those dollars. And so I'm starting to ramble again. I apologize.
You're fine.
But I guess the point I'm trying to get to is that that turnover, or not turnover, but that massive influx of desire, we've done a fairly good job building and getting things done. But there was, for a time, a backlog in our community development services department, and that resulted in, and we also had a bit of staff turnover. More than one person turned over there, so we had new people dealing with an overcrowded system and process. And so there was a lot of effort has been put into trying to help support that department so that they can, turn things around very quickly. And in fact, now that's exactly what's happening. But unfortunately, there were some folks who were in line for, weeks and months longer than they wanted to be back in 22 and 23.
Wow. Is there anything that you wish that you would have done while you were the mayor?
Oh, boy. I'd love to have 24 hours to think about that and give you smarter answers. But there are lots of things that I wish I had been able to accomplish. But now that you've asked me, why can't I think of even one of them? I wanted to get us further on internally on how we manage our utilities. We have 5 utilities, and they're run between them. They're divided and run by 2 departments, plus a third department manages the billing. And I wanted to create a little more unity and teaming there. And it'll be what it's going to be going forward. They're all well managed, but sometimes I have wanted to see a little more centralization there, or at least a little more everybody being on the same exact page with policies and things. We're moving that way, and we've got some policy changes that are in the works that I'm confident that the new council and new mayor will work on. But I just wish I could have checked that off, for example. There are internal things. We're to this week, we'll be approving a policy for purchasing practices, and that has been a long time coming. And we have 10 other policies or more that we need to get in place that are also being worked on right now, but I wish I could have delivered those. So there are internal kinds of efficiency things that I wish had been wrapped up, or that I'd made more progress on. But like I said, we have some really good elected officials on the council, and we have Mayor-elect Burton Shaw, who has a great head on her shoulders and has some good experience, plus her own professional training will allow her to spot problems that I would never have seen. And so I think we'll continue to see efficiencies.
Right, I love that. Any other hopes for the new mayor?
I haven't. Well, I hope that she'll be able to find all the magical ways to communicate. And I say magical, and I'll tell you why in a second. But find all the magical ways to be able to communicate with the public without sacrificing and interacting with the public successfully without sacrificing the luxury, what used to be, well, luxury isn't the right word. I'm framing this all wrong. Let me try again. The way that the public would like to be interacted with has changed drastically in the last 25 years. And the demands that the public can make now with, when we have all of the social media tools, we have all of the apps and all of these really wonderful products and tools that we can use to communicate really well. With all of that, the expectation that members of the public are going to be consulted more, it continues to rise. But I don't want us as a society, but also as a community, to lose the role of our leaders. They're not just to sit around and count, noses or count likes and count, how many comments they get on something. They need to have the privilege of being able to do the work of governing, doing the homework and making the smart decisions, not the popular ones. And so I do hope that the mayor and council will continue to see that as their primary role, and not to be to feel like they have to ride the wave of always making all of their decisions in a way that pleases the loudest voices in the community. I don't know if I'm making any sense at all, but I worry about leadership and the role of smart people rolling up their sleeves and figuring out problems, but bringing a variety of perspectives, as we have when you have 7 elected officials plus very informed and highly trained staff. That there's no substitute for that, and no app that pools people's will or their wishes will ever solve for that, because people will say, yeah, I want that road built, or I want that street light installed, without knowing the dynamics, without knowing the budget impact, without knowing the law, without knowing, all the things that the elected officials and the staff should know and do know. So I hope that leadership continues to be respected and valued, and that we don't somehow end up with counting noses all the time. Does that make sense? This is not for just this council. It's my hope for government in general, that we're able to have leaders.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. I think you're so smart. I love listening to all of your detailed answers. So for my last question, is there anything that you'll miss about being the mayor?
Oh, well, I can give you a superficial answer and say that there's a part of me that will miss all the being able to be in the middle of these really great things, from going to the rodeo and knowing what's happening and knowing who's in charge and being able to, park in a good spot. I mean, those are cool things. But that is a bit superficial. I think. Ooh, I'm getting a little emotional. I actually like leaving things a little better than we found them. And I'm going to miss being needed to help solve those problems. A friend of mine said, "Oh, you let somebody else do that, and why don't you just concentrate on the fact that you know who to call if your road doesn't get plowed in time." So I hope I don't become a complainer, but I am going to miss not being a problem solver.
Well, I think you'll still be a problem solver, and I think that you'll find new ways to be needed. So I'm excited for you.
I wish that for everybody.
Sorry, what was that?
I wish that for everybody, in fact, right? Everybody needs to be needed to be a part of something worth.
Absolutely. I tell my husband that. I'm like, do you need me today? Because I just want to feel like you need me. He's like, always. Like, and that's such a true feeling, because it continues to give us purpose. And so I know that you're going to find something, because you're just a go-getter. Well, wonderful. Thank you for taking the time, of course. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or any sort of sign off for the people of Idaho Falls?
That's an interesting question. I guess I would say that one of the when I was growing up, I had a teacher who really loved Thomas Jefferson. So I went through a phase where I decided I really loved Thomas Jefferson. And one of the things I know about him is that he has some interesting things on his headstone. 3 things, and one of those are the things that he's proud of. And one of those is that he was, one of the founders of the University of Virginia. And I can't put that on my headstone, but I will say I'm very proud to have been a part of helping the Eastern Idaho Technical College become the College of Eastern Idaho. and do the preliminary work to get that on the ballot. I have not done the hard work and the heavy lifting of creating this very successful junior college or community college, but being able to just get it to the point where we could work on having community college, right? Getting that on the ballot. I'm just so proud of the fact that work has resulted in this great institution. And I do hope that people continue to value a community college, the role that it plays in our community for workforce training, for providing opportunity for maybe young people who didn't think they were university or higher education material, but yet find out that they can better and improve their lives because of it. I like the fact that it's there for businesses to be able to find workforce or to be able to train people who want to either because they need trained and skilled people, or there's a place where businesses can send their folks to get additional training so that they can move up the ladder at work. It's just a fantastic institution, and we continue to pay far less for it than we pay for our sanitation, the county landfill each year in our taxes. So I do hope that people place a high value on what a wonderful asset this is in our community, and support it in every way they can, because it's a secret weapon that we have that makes Eastern Idaho even more successful. It supplements and helps to make possible the successful programs at ISU and BYU-Idaho. So I am excited for that and all that CEI will continue to become. So we should never undervalue the role of an educational institution like that connects young people with their future, and especially if that future is at a university. So
yeah, absolutely.